What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, cloud swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys are feeling good. Whew, got another day. We got Amy in the house. Good morning to you. Good morning to Anna, Andrew, Ben, Bill, Dragon. Good morning to Jeff, Joe, Lauren, Lucian, Peter, Sarah. Tim's in the house. Good morning to Virginia. We got all my people out in YouTube land. Daniel, good morning. Mustafa, I haven't seen you in a minute, Mustafa. How are you? We got Lucian. Did I say that right? Good morning to you. Good morning to Matt, Sabine. Yeah, Mustafa, greetings from Tokyo. Where have you been? You've been missing. Missed you, buddy. But yeah, we'll see what happens. We've got the spy looking stronger than you would imagine after some crazy earnings. That came out last night. We have both SMCI and AMD kind of missing. Although the AMD wasn't actually that bad. It was and they did raise guidance, which was good. But nonetheless, high bar to beat. You got the SPY with a little bit of a surprising gap up. I think I saw today. I don't know. I only saw like one thing on X last night that Trump is supposed to be talking at 4:30 today from the Oval Office. I don't know exactly what that's about, but from what I'm understanding is that has to do with tariffs on semiconductors and some pharmaceuticals. So just watch that. Be aware of, again, take that for a grain of salt because it's just news off of X. But I'll be watching that for later today and see if there's any more pressure in any of those markets based on a Trump speech later today. We'll see. Otherwise, yesterday was rough. Yes, yesterday we talked about this too, but it's not surprising. But it was showing a little bit more weaker than I thought maybe even yesterday would put in. So we said we had a good spot right up here where all of this gap down. This is still a rough gap. This is a difficult gap to survive from without a bigger pullback. However, it is a retest gap. Not everything retested one day. This closed pretty strong red when we opened from down here, so we didn't do any retesting at all. It did take us a gap and go in the bullish direction to get close, but still not fully fill that gap. And then here on my live chart, it's still not showing that the live gap is filled. I was hoping yesterday we could get live action pricing to push up there, but we did get there after hours, so or pre-market. So we were there. We technically did already retest. From that point, I was looking for a little bit of support down to 630.06. We definitely came into that 630.06 zone and we broke it. We closed past it. So I would say a little extra bearish momentum in the overall market. I think this is more of a retest. Again, the market didn't really tell institutions to get out ever until you put in a bearish engulfing candle. Still not really sure if that's a spot to get out. This would be your sign of maybe I should take some gains. If you get the opportunity to take your gains at that spot, you should have. I think that's what the institutions were doing. So I think they're kind of clearing the table a little bit today. They're not going to make it easy again. We're still living now. We're living in this, and this is also the case that could happen to switch to pen. Let me switch back to the arrow. Minimize this up a little bit. We from this point, this is the worst. By the way, if you guys want to see the worst analysis of a stock market ever, this is about to be it. From this point, we go here, which is going to be based off of, okay, this gap and go is actually a legitimate gap and go. This is the bulls trying to rally back, and we end up taking out this level. We get some candles to close, and then we're probably looking more for all-time highs. Or this is the legitimate gap down, and all of this was just a retest, and we head here. Or today, inside day gap, we have two levels of VPOCs. We'll get to those levels in a second. And we just really do nothing for a little bit. We hang out for a couple days, couple weeks. We've seen Bitcoin do it. And then we just chop sideways until we get some of those more moving averages to catch up. So you have option one, go up. Option two, do nothing. Option three, go down. That's my analysis on this market. I hope that helps anybody. Does that help anyone? Probably not. Yeah, no clue. Brilliant. The one thing is I cannot be wrong with that analysis. There's zero chance of me being wrong. One of those three options will happen. But to that same effect, I think that is where we're at in this market. Uh, I think we're at one big indecision. Which way do we go from here? And I think we have to let the market tell us which way we actually go, and that will determine where we go. In this zone, if it's option number two, where we just trade sideways, we're range bound. There's going to be a lot of fake outs and bullish, bearish directions, and that's why I point this out. If this is the case where we're just chopping, it doesn't have to be this tight of a range, but if we're just chopping sideways, this is going to make day trading a little bit more difficult. If we could get a clear break in either direction, option one, option three, that's going to be good for us as day traders. Option two, not going to be as pleasant, but it is a potential possibility. So we'll have to see. For today, they're not making it any easier. We have to get above 630.15 on the SPY. If we could, then we have a chance to retest into the live, into that 633 27 through 633.30 zone in live hours, and maybe we get that extra bullish. These guys a little bit more validated on that bullish gap and go as opposed to yesterday. We still have to get closes above that 633.30 zone, but for today, that could get us into that range. The downside, we should have support built in from yesterday. Again, support didn't hold yesterday. I'm losing confidence that this one will hold today, even though this is a nice bounce right off that 20 EMA yesterday. Other than that, yeah, 628.92. See if that could hold. If not, again, we still have this one all the way down here, 621.65. And if this is the retest and we're breaking down, I think this one breaks too. So we'll see. Very important day. I think today, as long as today is just not an inside day, and then it would be a meaningless day all overall. Otherwise, if we get a break, we get a close in either direction. I think that gives us a little bit more clue as to where we're going, but not a lot of edge coming into today's SPY, at least. We have the Qs, which again, a lot of AMD, SMCI, they're all getting kind of whacked around a little bit. You have some other names kind of also getting beat up a little, and then some decent earnings that are pushing. But you got the Qs. Looks very, very similar. All of this, and this was live action. We're live trading, live action, like I'm sports betting here. I don't know. But we got the live market. That was a retest. They did it in real time. That's what I wanted to see on the SPY, which we just couldn't get. And as soon as we hit it, we faded. We have this one support that if we were strong, if I think this was a little bit more legitimate of a gap and go, as opposed to all of this just being one crazy way to get to a retest. I think the Bulls probably would have wanted to hold 563.18, or at least by the end of the day, close above 563.18. They did not. I would look for that as my resistance today as Qs. See if we get some kind of a bounce into that zone if we want to go bullish. It is very possible we have a slight bullish lean in the market today. We have a gap up. Bulls, at least from after hours pre-market, are getting us for now. We got 20 minutes till the bell, but that's 561.15. If we can stay above that, all right, Bulls have a chance at least for a mini bullish retest. I'd be leaning in that direction, but watch for that 563.20 until the Bulls can prove that they could now take that out. We have to come back then retest this 565.91 and then get a close above it at some point. I don't think that's today, but at some point, then that would set us up. So same thing, kind of indecision. Q's not really gapping as much as SPY. SPY is a little bit more. SPY is a little stronger. We're seeing a little rotation, I think, from big tech names into, and we saw that yesterday too, into like IWM names and some smaller cap names, mid cap names. Other than that, let's see if we can hold that. If not, that support breaks. The next spot I got is 558.96. It's an okay one. And then I think a much bigger level, 556.33, with the ability to get back down to retest 554.90. And I don't like the odds of that holding if we get down there. Lucian says my magic 8 ball agrees. Yep. Yeah, I don't know. That's essentially my analysis on the SPY is it's like when you shake that magic 8 ball and it just says try again later. That's the same. That is the same reaction. I had no answers answered, no questions answered as a child because mine always said just try again later. I didn't know how long to wait for, so I could work for CNBC. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see if I asked the 8 ball if I should work for CNBC. They said try again later, so I don't know. I'm on the fence. We got Bitcoin is again. We had that one breakdown that came July 31st. Have not really recovered from that. However, that is a significant breakdown and started breaking through levels we didn't really want to see. Hanging out for today, but if we're looking at this, should have been our support. We got a pretty significant breakdown. This was where the next support should have been. They ran right through it. That was your retest into that next support. Support becomes resistance. And we're kind of just hanging out now at a new mini support. If we could get some kind of a bounce, great. But we're going to have to take this out. And then this is going to be a huge level for resistance for Bitcoin. So otherwise, we come back down further, and we're probably going to be sitting under 110, close to the 109 eventually in Bitcoin if this trend just kind of breaks a little bit further. So for right now, nothing too severe. We are just hanging out. I think there's a little bit of pressure to the downside on Bitcoin, and we'll see my my life try again later. Uh-huh. Yeah, some trades I take too to like you should have just never tried that one at all. And I'm like, this must be the 2025 version 8 ball. I don't know. All right, we got some tickers that are coming in. Let's take a look at AMD first. Let's take a look at SMCI before we get to anything else. Uh, for AMD, so again, a little bit double toppy on the daily. Earnings couldn't get us past it. Obviously, we've had a phenomenal run up. But here's your first breakdown. This should have been kind of the zone for some kind of support. Again, institutions, and this is in the we teach this in the mastery group. Just try to understand what the institutions are doing because it's going to help your trading a lot. The next group that I'm running, and there is a wait list. If anybody, I'll have to find the link for it or whatever. But if you guys want to have a conversation, see if it's the right fit for you. That the next one starts, I don't know, somewhere beginning of September. So signups are available now. But what we do is we're looking for what the institutions are doing. They don't trade like us day traders. They have a lot more money. They balance things out with options. They play to the downside, to the upside. They have a bigger, longer term picture. So it's not like, oh, I just got stopped. No, they don't get stopped. They balance it out by buying puts to the downside if they're bullish. Once it looks like it's balancing again, they'll take the profit on the puts, let these things ride up. So in this case, AMD just phenomenal move. No real spot for them to get out where the market says it's time until you have this little bit of a gap down, clearing through a whole bunch of VPOCs. This rebound is essentially them saying, "Oh, the market told us here to get out." This is your retest into it, and it looks like they're kind of pushing it back a little bit. So for today, not a great gap. It is a retest gap for AMD technically. Yesterday was a red candle. However, you're also now taking out this little pivot. This dotted line that I have on my screen, that's the Lux Algo slightly longer term VPOC area. We're opening below that. That's not great. We're also opening below this VPOC here. So I would expect maybe some bulls to come in, some or not so much bulls, I don't think, but um, some people may be looking to take some gains on some of the shorts that maybe they held overnight. So see if you get a little bit of a bounce, but watch for any rejection around 166.60 if we start breaking through it. Maybe we have a little deeper of a retest. We saw that on HIMS yesterday. HIMS was deep red, somehow went positive during the day. Still, the end of the day, back down 10%. But um, wild markets. Maybe AMD has that in the cards. I don't know. I'd have to see if we could get above that 166 60 zone first. If we could, then all right, maybe some continuation to this 171.38. Absolutely remarkable day. Would be a full-on retest of 175.27. I don't see that happening. Otherwise, you have some room down to the short, which is right into your 20. Also lines up with the VPOC 162.53 to the short side. So I don't think I'd want to be playing at open, at least bullish on AMD. It's not holding the levels it really should. And then probably eventually, I think a retest back to this 155.46. At least maybe get a bigger pullback from there too into the 140s. But for now, we're still above moving averages. We're still looking good. Earnings weren't bad. It was just a again high bar to beat. SMCI, AMD did come in with a upgrade, a little bit of a raise in guidance. SMCI did not, and their earnings were a little bit weaker, so they lost 7.89% earnings per share, or under expected earnings per share. They also came in under revenue of $222 million. And I don't think their guidance was as great as well. So This one got a little bit of a heftier pullback. I think if there's a shot for any of these guys, and again, if Trump is talking semiconductors after hours, I don't think today's the day I want to hold some of these things overnight. I don't think it's going to be a positive for semiconductors, but uh, for SMCI, you have a little bit of support here. It's down a lot. It's going to be tough, I think, to go shorter. That being said, I don't think I want to go long on this one either. I think I'm going to stay away from SMCI for today. If this one comes down a little bit further, as close as possible to 42.52, I think that's your shot to maybe build out some kind of a swing. We're just still a little bit about $5 away from that. But yeah, I don't think real good positive catalyst. Maybe some shorts came in and want to take some gains. Target to the higher side for today. Watch for like 49.98 if we could get there. There's a whole bunch of resistances away from that first. To the short side, if you do want to play it short, I got 47.14 is the spot you want to see break, and then you got 46.47 to the downside. That should hold as some kind of support. And looking at 44.63 would take you at least into that 200 EMA, but yeah, probably a little bit too big of a gap for me to play for today. We got Hood. I was working like crazy at Osaka Universal Expo. All right. We got Hood is chilling for now. Still very range bound on the daily. Um, let's go through to this with the same logic. We still have a VPOC that's never really been retested, although we got kind of close on this day. So that might have been your retest. Otherwise, you had this next little pivot come in. I think all of this could be potentially another little mini double top until I'm proven incorrectly on that. This looks like a spot where maybe some more trap bulls had the ability to get out here. Little bit of a I wish this green candle had a little more volume. That'd be a 3 bar play if you get above yesterday's high, but really the volume came here. So I think you have a little bit of a pullback, but it's not, I don't think, a fall from the sky type drop yet. We did get down to this one support, 103.29. So I would look to see if there could be a little support there, especially if we're opening underneath essentially 104.36. I'd be leaning a little bit to the short side. And I think that even though that is your support, I think that can break. We've been there yesterday. I think you have more or less down to this 102.29 zone. Maybe we run into this 101.98 zone, something like that. Eventually, I think you're looking for a pullback to like $100.22. See if that could hold. But you're starting to make these lower highs, which is not great. Other than that, you're still in this kind of chop zone, so there might be a little leaning to the chop side until we could break kind of that little rectangle box on the screen. We got ZETA. I guess we can remove that arrow. There we go. ZETA. Mm-mm. Nice gap up. That would have been a good buy call. Nice gap up. Pretty pretty hefty of a move. This is on earnings, I'm guessing. Yep. So they beat earnings per share 12.75%. They came in with 11.75 million, so 3.96 above revenue expectations. You are into a decent resistance. This is a gap and go, just a massive gap though. I don't know the short float on this one. Other than that, if we could get out of this chop zone, you have really good room on this one, which would take us into $20.56. Let's add this one to the chart just so we start getting alerts on it. Other than that, if it's a high short float, it might break through all this. Otherwise, I think you have a pullback maybe into like the $17.60 if you get it. That should be your new support. You've battled with that zone a few times. So the closer I think you could get into that would be good, but really good gap. Maybe primes for a swing as well. That would have been a good buy. This new thing I'm working on looks pretty decent on this one. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I've never day traded this one, but really good gap. And I think you are opening into tad resistance. Let's get this one higher. Let's see if there's a high wave candle, something like that. I'm not opposed to going long, even though it is up a lot. I'd just rather see a pullback. So we'll see how that one wants to work. ANET. ANET came out with earnings last night. They beat earnings per share by 12.44%. Also came in with an extra 97 million, higher than expectations. You are right at a double top location potentially. There has been a lot of buying into this one. Let's see if I don't know. We're opening in a really good spot. Again, pretty big, massive gap up. Let's see if the Bulls maybe want to take some gains. If we could get back into like the 129.17 zone, I think that would be a decent attempt. But I also think this is one to watch if you get some kind of decent at open looks to give us a double bottom high wave candle, something like that. The only thing really stopping this one from continuing higher would be 133.13, and that's a psychological level just from the high of that candle. So yeah, we'd love to see a little bit of a pullback, some profit taking. It is up a lot already, so even if it goes, it's probably going to go without me on this one. But yeah, really good gap. I like it on pullbacks. Let's get this one a little bit higher. We got Spot, SPOT, Spotify. Let's see. We got pre-market 652 closed. It only does even numbers, I guess. That's wild. No change, just dollar bills. You got Spotify is gapping up a little bit. So gap and go still inside day. Not bad. No earnings. Let's see if there's news. Tyson Foods, Biotech, Gold Miners. That's all 2 days ago. So that's all older news, at least from what they're showing on TradingView. Yeah, I think just chilling again. This is a rough candle, which did come off of earnings. So that's a rough candle. I think people tried to get out right around there's your resistance. So I think if you really want to go bullish on the daily, you got to get above this, and then you got just under $700 as your next target to the higher side. Other than that, that's a pretty big rejection. We are just kind of chopping bullish, but for today, watch the previous resistance or VPOC, which is 633.40 to your target high. I'd be planning on 646.88 should be some kind of support. I think we're more likely to break down the support than we are to break out that resistance. So I'd be probably leaning a little bit more bearish, at least until you close this gap of 627.87. So it's got some room. We got into this one resistance or support that could have been holding us 641.09. We hit that yesterday, a little bit more easy to break today, and really good support around 628.70. So I think we get back there. Unless we start breaking out of this high wave candle or we start getting closes above 663.40. I think sentiment starts to change, but for right now, I think leaning a little bit more bearish than bullish, even though it is a gap up. It's still inside day, so I think you'll see some traps, and I think short the rips for me on that one. You got Unity Software. Was that earnings for them? They had a high bar to beat too, and they cleared it. You got earnings per share came in 30% higher, 13 million in revenue, higher than expected. That's a fantastic gap, well off the highs. This thing again has some room on it. There's another really interesting buy indicator. Okay. I'm playing around with it. I'm playing around with this new thing that I'm working on. Just for like longer term swings, stuff like that. But so far, interesting. Let's see. Let's go back a little bit further. Hmm. I mean, we're going back pretty far on this one. We're back to January 2024. We have a decent amount of volume below us. The bigger one is right below us, $37. Let's stay above that. And I think targets for today probably get us into like this 38.22 zone. I think anything clearing out this 38.69 would be a pretty strong signal. But other than that, it's completely well off the highs. You are starting to put some higher lows in, which looks nice. Other than that, Again, good earnings. I like this location a lot. We are above $37. Would like to see a little pullback, but I'd be okay taking a pre-market break on that one. Let's get this one a little higher as well. EOSE. Yeah, we're gonna run out of time. We're not gonna get to all of them today, I think. Um, Energy was good yesterday. It looks good on this one too. So I'm not sure exactly which energy this one is, but energy was looking stronger yesterday than a lot of names. This one looks with that close, I would look for some kind of continuation. I think we could probably get a little pullback. Not sure if we get down to $6.26. But I'd be watching to see if you get to at least 643, see what happens there. If we can't hold it, then I'd be waiting for 626. Otherwise, I think there will be a buy the dip opportunity in here. You got decent amount of room for a $6 stock to run to $6.95 would be your target to the higher side. I'm looking at one little level of resistance, which is going to be around 663. However, we hit that already. Probably a little bit easier to break through. And then let's go with a conservative target, 690 to the higher side. So let's see if we get that continuation. Looks good even for a swing trade. I think this one probably wants to. We've been making higher highs. I think this one is looking like it might want to do the same. Continue that out. We got Baba. Baba. Mm. Oh, for Baba, we got nice little gap up. This one's been a little tougher to trade lately. Sometimes it gives you good days. Today gonna be one of them. I think your target to the higher side, if you could get there, would be 120.21. Otherwise, this is a nice gap and go above three candles. Still a little bit in this chop zone. If you could get a little pullback, which I think that's what I'd want to see in this one, 118.38. Hold there, and then I think let's go with your immediate target for today, unless it wants to do something crazy, but 119.80, and then a bigger extended target, 120.61. But that is definitely a gap and go. I think inside that candle from 2 days ago would give us a little bit of maybe pullback at open, especially with some of those resistance coming in. But looks interesting. Looks like we essentially had that nice gap up from here. All of this is just kind of retesting, closing that gap, and maybe we can make the next little push for Baba. mRNA, they did have news. RFK canceled, I think it was 22 government contracts that were going to mRNA. So yeah, they've been getting kind of beat up recently. Watch that. I think they're losing like $550 million from the cancellation of contracts. So a little bit of bad news for mRNA. Other than that, that is the morning bell. Everybody, YouTube land, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button if you've not done so already. Other than that, you guys are incredible, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. Later, guys.